Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Devil May Cry 2. Yeah, I figured that might be a little bit more of an appropriate intro compared to my usual chipper self, but yeah, I'd say now that we've pretty much passed, the factory setting, we've pretty much hit the halfway point of the game for both characters at this stage, most of which is indicative by the change in battle music, from Fire Away to, yeah, I can't quite remember what the other one was for Dante, but, yeah, Dante and Lucia pretty much have two different battle musics as soon as they get past the Resident Evil Ouroboros factory, so, yeah, but in the meantime, well, okay, our combat hath begun now, but, yeah, we actually get like a little riff that was actually referenced in Devil May Cry 3 as a small guitar riff that Dante actually plays as soon as you pick up Nevin, which was pretty much your electric guitar weapon, and is by far my favourite weapon in DMC3. But again, that's what I was talking about earlier, with Devil May Cry having unique weapons and, you know, me hoping to have a little bit more of a focus on that. I mean, again, if there is anything I can say about the series is that it doesn't just focus on your it does focus on your typical swordplay and gauntlet weapons, which I find to be, well, kind of a wee bit pish, to be honest. But I do like it when the series does get unique, like, you know, for example, Pandora, the briefcase that unfolds into like a little flying glider with multiple different weapons for you to choose from. Or again, Nevin, an electric guitar that fires off rounds of lightning. Oh yeah, ride the lightning. And, yeah, I just enjoy unique weapons like that. It's, quite fun. But, in any case, that has nothing to do with what's going on right now as we make use out of our rocket launcher. I mean, again, something that, Devil May Cry 3 would take and run with, but, sadly, we do not have Kalina Ann just yet. Although that would eventually, come to be ladies' weapons, so, yes, weapons that would belong to some people, but not to others. In the meantime, though, our tertiary puzzle of the now basically has us opening the gates, so, yeah, just, strike the node, and, yeah, pretty much make your way towards the other node, and then deal with a bunch of enemies, and bada bing, you do the thing, but it does lead to a tertiary boss fight that we've seen before, that I figured I might as well show again. And, by the way, similar in nature to the earlier Lucia puzzle where you had to activate the platforms, yeah, you do have a limited time before the, you know, that little node thing starts to fade away, but alas, we made it in time. And there's also another place where you need to turn off your lock-on, so in any case, I'm sure nothing bad will happen as we approach the podium, so to speak. But yeah, that was another secret mission, and now the podium. Oh wait, hang on, now we have to activate this. But yeah, as soon as we activate that, nothing will ever go wrong whatsoever. Yes, that's right, Dante, do your little shield bash, pathetic a move as it might be. Now, I was technically questioning whether or not I should show off this boss fight against the Nocturne again, but I figured, you know what, fuck it. You see how Lucia fights the thing, now you get to see how Dante fights it, and, yeah, whatever. I mean, again, the thing does lower itself down enough for Dante to hit it, but, yeah, you're probably just better off using your machine gun fire gauntlets. I will say that Lucia does have a bit of an easier time with this, I guess by proxy of her utilizing the Divine Anger abilities when she's in midair, but yeah, it's neither here nor there in this case. Dante, on the other hand, pretty much has to contend with, you know, having to gradually take it down piece by piece. And, yeah, you can try and take out these lava as much as you can, but, rather sadly, yeah, the Nocturne will keep on dripping them down until you defeat it, in which case it continues to drop more lava along the ground, and that's just prolonging the boss fight much longer than it really needs to. The missile launcher does help in this aspect to take it down, and, yeah, rather confusingly, instead of, like, utilizing the missile launcher for any sort of airtime, instead you revert to Ebony and Ivory while you're in midair. Tut, Capcom, I guess time was running out! But yeah, all the same though, don't really have too much else to say. So I suppose in that aspect I might as well start talking about the weapons that Dante can acquire, particularly since we're going to be acquiring another one not too long in the distant future. But yeah, in turn, Dante's sword for the game. You might be noticing that there's no Force Edge, no Elastor, and yeah, all the previous weapons from DMC1, they're all gone! Well, a lot of that seems to be partially because, well again, you sort of get the implication that Trish might have taken them. Well, I mean, barring Elastor, since I suppose Trish already had the lightning power, but yeah, apart from the implication that Dante technically sells his weapons to keep his business afloat, I think Beautiful Joe was the game that actually made that implication where Dante and Trish made a cameo, with original voice actors in tow of Drew Coombs and Cyril LaFleur, surprisingly enough, so that's quite unusual. But yeah, Dante in this game has his sword Rebellion. In this game, a standard sword for Dante. In Devil May Cry 3, it's actually revealed to be a keepsake of Dante's father Sparta, who pretty much gifted him the sword, and indeed to Virgil Yamato. So yeah, both of these swords are very much Dante's personal thing. And later on in 5, you pretty much get the whole idea of like, oh, the Rebellion is just the preamble form of Devil Sword Sparta. Devil Sword Sparta? No, Demon Sword Dante. So I suppose, technically, if Dante was to, like, die and pass away, would Demon Sword Dante end up being, like, an ultimate power-up for, I don't know, Nero's children, I guess? Depending on whether or not the series goes down that path. Yeah, well, but either way, yeah, it's meant to have a little bit more meaning behind it, but this game is just sort of introduced as a, well, just cause, really. I mean, again, they could have just as easily used Force Edge, and again, for the alternate costume of the Dante's DMC1 outfit that you do get by completing the Must Die mode, you do technically get Force Edge in tow, so yeah, it does seem like a bit of an odd sword replacement, but who am I to judge, I suppose? Maybe they just liked the unique design. But yeah, in other words though, this is pretty much going to be the sword going forward for a lot of Dante's, you know, Devil May Cry actions, so yes, fare thee well, Elastor. And, yeah, Force Edge will pretty much end up going as a part of Virgil's alternate playstyle, where he has both Yamato and Force Edge as part of his, like, end Devil May Cry 3 sort of moveset, rather saddeningly. But yeah, I mean, as for what happened to Devil Sword Sparta that Dante had at the end of the first game, that also ended up going to Trish, as did the Ifrit Gauntlet, and, yeah, that's pretty much where those two weapons went, I guess. Trish found better use out of them than Dante, or she just wanted some powerful weapons and was like, yeah, Dante, thanks for letting me stay as your psychic, but I want to go off and explore the world on my own. By the way, I'm taking your keepsake of your dad and your Ifrit gauntlets that'll be useful. Bye. Okay, that might be a bit more of a churlish explanation than in fact it otherwise would be, but yeah, I mean, I would imagine that Trish and Dante did still keep in contact to some extent. I mean, again, as you see in DMC4, they are still very much on friendly terms, as, you know, you also see during the anime. It's just that, well, you know, Trish wanted to be her own person. And, sadly, I think even if you do try and target the miniature lava before they dive into the ground and grow from all the delicious nutrients down below, yeah, I don't think you can technically destroy them in their minute form, so, again, you pretty much just have to take him out right here and now. And again, it's just padding that the boss fight didn't need, really, so... Ugh. But again, I've already said my piece in Sia's version of the boss fight, so... Yeah, that's it. If I could comment on the music, though, I quite like it. It kind of reminds me of, like, a Dante fighting demonic cowboys on a railroad track, traveling down a mine shaft with trippy visuals going on, and, yeah, they're fighting demonic cowboys called the Bandersnatchers. Yes, yes, in Resident Evil-like fashion, because Code Veronica had a Bandersnatch. Yes. But yeah, hold that aside though, the same sort of enemy dynamics very much apply. Want to build up your style, dodge out of the way, attack where you can, and, yeah, pretty much to sort of prolong your style meter in as best a manner as you can. I think it would honestly be in your best interest to collect all the health orbs if you want to go for the S rank. Because again, green orbs, in similar manner to the first game, count as health. Well, they count as orbs, first of all, if you pick them up at a larger degree than what you'd usually pick up, and yeah, otherwise they just pretty much count towards your health and nothing more. But anyway, after that little encounter, nothing really changes except for the opening of, well, this thing right here. So, down we go! another B on my report card. Truly, I will never go to university, get a lovely job. Instead, I will die in here, in the game. Yeah, well, whatever. School wasn't doing anything for Dante. Actually, what was his education like? Because, again, up until he was, like, I want to say 10, maybe a wee bit older, Dante was very much educated by, pretty much a normal life, really. I think, Sparta and Eva did sort of assume a normal life. They, again, judging by, and again, this is purely going by Devil May Cry 5, which did take a bit of influence from the reboot, it seemed that Dante and Virgil were pretty well off, since they did live in a pretty bitchin'-looking house, or possibly mansion kind of thing, so... Yeah, I mean, it does seem like that Dante and Virgil got a pretty decent education, especially considering that, Dante, for as, wacky jokester as he is, as you learn throughout DMC1, he is educated in, the likes of Shakespeare, even if he probably didn't take much influence from it. Again, Virgil was really the one that more took influence out of, Robert Burns and poetry and all that kind of stuff, but, yeah, it's, they seem to be pretty well educated, despite some of their circumstances, so, yeah. Dante had a slightly better upbringing, and then it was taken away from him. Oh, the horror, oh, the poor gentleman. He's a sad man. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what the theme Dante has now is called. Again, the first one was called Fire Away. It's, it'll come back to me in due time, but in any case, this is very much the second theme of the Dante ass-kicking antics. Partout! So, I want a new adventure, and, yeah, I mean, in terms of anything else, this is very much, I wouldn't say a catacomb segment, because we already technically got it, but it is a mysterious temple that does continue to illustrate, I suppose compared to some that we've seen in the Vie de Mali, this one very much illustrates, well, yeah, some more in the line of, the followers of Argosax in this case. Again, the last of the arcana is buried here, so, again, the final piece of the puzzle that we need to ensure that, Argosax's resurrection won't come to pass, but, either way, it does also sort of go to show the heavenly promises that Argosax had, well, made, and very much how, well, a lot of his followers got screwed over because of that. And you will begin to see how exactly Argosax planned on dealing with his followers, because it is, quite frightening, even if there are a few characters who show up that otherwise shouldn't be here. But then again, that's also something I do have points to talk about a wee bit later, so I stay my tongue. And in any case, yeah, here we have the, can't quite read the text, this is a wee bit small for my eyes, and my eyes have failed me for the last time. But yeah, the Homisteria, basically the next level of the Mysteria enemies that this time actually have the capability to spit out poison globules and pretty much gradually sap away your health. Yeah, I mean, if there is anything I can discuss about Devil May Cry 2's combat, they seem to want to imply more, like, of a status effect sort of element to the combat this time around, as opposed to, a lot of the traditional sort of, attack, block, parry, whatever else sort of thing. Because, I mean, again, I might have mentioned it before, but the one mechanic that Devil May Cry 1 had that this game doesn't is the idea that, again, if you manage to swing your sword at the same time your enemy does, you could have the potential of blocking it, and again, by doing that, you could pretty much, get a couple of whacks at your enemies. Again, a lot of this was mainly more to do with some of the melee enemies, particularly the likes of Nilo Angelo, and, well, certainly a mechanic that would have been useful against an upcoming boss that we'll be seeing quite soon. But, yeah, it's a bit of a shame they didn't carry the mechanic over, because, I mean, again, even if Sturgill and, rather simplistic compared to games that we have these days, again, like, I mean, even a minor block mechanic can still, diversify a lot of combat and give you a lot of openings and opportunities to, really sort of, get the drop on your enemy and, attack before they end up retaliating, giving them their desperation move. Bada bing, you do the thing. And, all that kind of jazz. And, it should be around here that we're actually, introduced to another enemy. I can't quite remember what these enemies are called, but they're basically the inspiration for the little Bathos enemies that would appear in the reboot, and yeah, they teleport around and they pretty much lock onto Dante, drop an explosive, and that's pretty much that. You did actually get a glimpse of them with some of the bonus videos, no, the secret missions a little bit earlier, but yeah, kind of skipped over them until it was dramatically relevant. Oh, delicious tasty orbs, crystallized demon blood. No more money. Money, money, money. Yeah, there is technically a room up here that we just can't access. And here's a rather funny exploit that I actually didn't really know until this very playthrough, but yeah, this is me trying to get up to the secret room, but don't worry, we will get up there. It just takes an alternate means to really get up there. Oh my god, it's an orb! Well, I'll just get hit by this thing and yeah, you have invisibility frames as you dodge out the way. And I can get it to pretty much summon down again, so yeah, I don't know how the fuck I dodged it the first time, but yeah, your penalty is to pretty much face off against a golem enemy, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, as to how I dodged it the first time, I don't know. Maybe I just got it frame perfect. Oh yeah, frame perfect, sick, impact cancelling. Oh yeah, I am totally fucking skilled. Suck my dick, gonna jack off in your eye, because I'm so skilled at games. Oh yeah, that's another hard mode enemy dynamic of the Savage Golems. It can pretty much pick you up and spin your partner around and round, throw Dante into the ground. So yeah, more things to discover that I fathom not a lot of people who dislike Devil May Cry 2 really bothered to investigate, but yeah, there is benefits to playing on hard mode, even if you can very much, you know, lay off the smackdown, so to speak. But in any case, this one area up here is pretty much just your penalty for not dodging out of the way of that thing, even though I did perfectly. But yeah, what you're supposed to do is pretty much just head all the way down her. See, I did it again, what the fuck's going on? But yeah, I'm guessing that was basically meant to be a tertiary trap to lead people to their doom, but yeah, there's a false wall over there. Which is kind of odd. It kind of makes me think that it was meant to be like a Resident Evil style puzzle, kind of similar to the first game, really, where, you know, with you know, Chris and Jill inside the caverns where they let the boulders smash through the way. But yeah, instead what you're supposed to do is pretty much just go over here, attack the wall, get out of the way before, you know, that crushing pillar comes down to, well, make itself a nice Dante sandwich. And that's pretty much that, really. But again, you would have thought you would have had, like, that giant demon marble pretty much take care of it. But oh well. And yeah, the trap stops from there. We did it! But could Indian Johns solve this puzzle? Yeah, probably. Delicious red orbs. You are tasty. Like the pasty I eat on my sandwiches of the Jill variety. But yes, there is a secret area. And this is pretty much... the camera movement is admittedly a little bit fucky, as it does still take influence from the first game, sort of like a Silent Hill 4-esque. You move in one direction, but then when the camera shifts, you have to alter your movements. But yeah, as you're seeing right here, this is very much the last of Dante's weapons we have yet to acquire. This is the Merciless. Ming the Merciless. Gordon is still alive? And, yeah, in this case, yeah, the Merciless is very much a sword. Added length, the trade-off of less damage impact, and vice versa, really. So, yeah, apart from just being a longsword, it's, that's pretty much it, really. No new moves, nothing else, really, and apart from, looking pretty decently cool, I suppose, it's, acquished. Also, I believe it's right under the room where, actually, no, it wouldn't be right under that room. Scratch that thought. I mean, I do think you do eventually get to go above into that area, so you do get to look down and see where the blue orb is, but yeah, that's pretty much your only clue as to how to find it, unless of course you played the game before, such as myself. But yeah, in any case, so you pretty much just go back the way you came, and then continue to solve platforming and puzzles galore. Like Aussie Outdoor, the price carnivore. No one can beat our prices. You probably couldn't hear that, but some guy slamming his trailer closed was the perfect ending to that song. As I reference, like, 30-year-old Australian advertisements for sheds and packing materials. Oh, dearie me. By the way, it is entirely possible if you have Devil Trigger that you can pretty much just say, fuck this, and, you know, fly all the way up to where you need to go, but that's doing it the dishonest way. We shall platform as we were meant to be platforming. But yeah, I mean, to once again comment on the platforming, it handles it much better than Devil May Cry 1, and to be honest, even 3, 4, and 5 doesn't really have it at all, so whatever, but yeah, again, you no longer have that, like, sort of lock-on Legend of Zelda style jump from one platform to another, and yeah, Yeah, unlike 3, which in the rare times it does have platforming, feels a bit stiff and arthritic. Yeah, 2's platforming controls feel relatively fine, on top of the safety net that you have with, you know, your air hike, and in turn you also have the Devil Trigger flight abilities, so yeah. It's able to handle platforming with a little bit more grace and fluidity than any other game in the series, really, which is kind of bad that the universally considered bad game is, well, you know, decent at platforming. Yeah, well, everybody gets one, I suppose, and here we come to a bit of a pain-in-the-arse puzzle. This is actually an area where the Merciless does actually come in handy, but yeah, we have 3 pillars over there. They don't go down in one hit, but they are responsible for taking down that little energy barrier that you need in order to collect your next, well, your next, you know, amulet. And in this case, this being the Healing Heart. Now, I suppose Capcom themselves technically saw how bogus this puzzle really is to complete, so yeah, there is actually another opportunity for you to collect the Healing Heart later in the game, but yeah, destroy one. Oh, well, I mean, that's no problem here. You can pretty much pick up the others, no harm, no foul. But you will soon see what I see once you destroy them. Yes. And they regenerate, basically meaning that your opportunity to, well, take down the energy shield is pretty much null and void. So, with the power of teleporting, yeah, we pretty much take all these out in one fell swoop, and what shall our reward be? Well, you'll see. Come on, Dante, destroy it. Also, was that meant to be a representation of the Tateo Best, given the amount of ice on that thing? It kinda seems like it, actually. Curious. And thus we have our Healing Heart. There is this... Actually, you know what, you'll be seeing in the next part. Probably, maybe, we'll see. But, yeah, needless to say, that's how you get the Healing Heart for that part of the game, and, well, to be honest, you're kind of better off getting it later in the game. I think it actually disappears if you collect it a little bit later on as well, but, yeah, neither here nor there in this case. Anyways, onwards to new adventure. So, ladies and gentle dudes, this is Bolverk. Yeah, ostensibly the game's Nilo Angelo, and, you know what, he does come close to being a very decent boss fight, but it's let down by, well, 2 aspects, which is kind of fitting, because, yeah, we've already fought Freki and Gary before, who didn't really need to be in this boss fight, or at least at this current phase, because, yeah, in a similar fashion to Nilo Angelo, you do fight Bolverk again, as like a repeated encounter kind of thing, but, yeah, all they really serve to do was just sort of distract your targeting reticle, and pretty much just try to ensure that you don't land any hits on their master, which, again, I suppose is intentional. They are loyal to their master Bolverk, but by that same token, however, it also distracts from what could have been some more interesting enemy dynamics as you, well, fight your way against Bolverk. Again, he has that spear. As you can see, again, he does have a lot of, you know, familiar abilities. He has the Million Stab, you know, he has, you know, large swipes and powerful attacks. So, yeah, again, there could have been some interesting dynamics at play here. I mean, he's got powerful attacks, he's very persistent, and he is quick on his feet. But, yeah, somewhat sadly, you can't really deflect any of his attacks akin to what you could have with Nilo Angelo, and, yeah, it's, it just sort of makes this a case of, well, aggressive slashing and trying to kill him before he kills you, which, I don't want to say it turns it into a complete war of attrition. Again, it does also rely a lot on you also having to dodge out of the way, again, as he continues to try and punk you and, you know, flip you up, trip you over, and whatever else, but yeah, it's a boss fight that I feel probably could have been better handled in games, you know, like the first game, or, you know, especially later ones, but yeah. Yeah, it's a character that I kind of wish would see a return to the series, if only to have a boss fight done justice, but yeah, guess it's probably not going to be the case, unless of course we see the return of the, you know, Argosax or the Vita Marley or whatever, so sad face. To talk about anything else, though, in terms of, well, things I can also point out into, damn it, I forgot my point midway as I was about to say it. Thank Nomino. Until I can remember. Yeah, but I mean, all that aside, though, I mean, again, you can technically just focus your efforts on getting rid of frickin' Geary. Just, you know, so you can pretty much just take him down, but, yeah, it's, just, that'd be more of an annoyance, really. Oh my god, he has the Stinger ability, and actually a much more useful Stinger ability than what Dante gets, because, yeah, in Devil May Cry 1 you got to level up your basic abilities, like, you know, Stinger or whatever. Here, no such luck. Oh, Bolverk, you get to play with all the powerful abilities that we don't get to play with. For now. But yeah, that'll be to come in the bonus video. In the meantime, though... yeah, Bolverk. It's a boss fight that does do enough for me on the edge that I say that I like it, but... it does... yeah, it basically could use a bit of refinement. That's neither here nor there in this case, so Dante, let us end this in a stalemate, as it was in days past. So yeah, Bolverk wasn't technically defeated, he just teleported away, but don't you worry, we will be laying the smackdown and sadly putting an end to Bolverk, which is a shame, because I would have liked to have seen him come back and maybe had a bit more of a story presence, but yes. The dreams of fevered madmen and delusional people, I suppose. So on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and I'll see you next time for more Devil May Cry 2 action. Bye-bye.